beneficial to everybody. So let me share my screen quickly. Which is this? Okay, so
Dr.
can you all
Gaufer,
see?
what you're sharing, right? I just want to say one thing, huh? When it comes to TikTok, right? Okay, I'm just gonna say it out loud. When we say TikTok, right, we always think about young, pretty girls.
Right.
Even if the guy they'll be much younger. Suddenly, right, when Inky introduced you, I'm like, wow, my jaw dropped. Malu lah, you know, I don't know where to put my face. So if my screen blanks out, it's because I a bit malu lah.
So you've got the young and pretty, right? You just got the girls wrong lah. So 2 out of 3 is not bad lah.
Okay lah.
All right, so let's talk a bit about what I do and then get into the gist of things. So does social media actually bring patients, and how do you navigate around it? So I am basically an Ipoh boy. I did all my education locally. I did some MRCS. I did a fellowship in bariatric for 2 years in Taiwan. And I have worked everywhere in Malaysia, and I went into the private sector just about a year ago. And I've been in Island Hospital in Penang ever since. And these are a bit of the stuff that I do besides bariatric work. The bread and butter general surgery work is still the main gist of it. But my focus today will be about obesity. And as all of you all know, obesity in Malaysia is still an issue related to a cosmetic problem. Very little initiative from the government. We are in quarantine most of the time, and that is a boom for my business because people eat and therefore they gain weight, and this has seen a surge in patients coming to me for weight loss. And Malaysia has been blessed and also been cursed with good food. We have actually very good food which has got low quantity but very high in calories. Examples are chendol, nasi lemak. These are all very low quantity food, but actually have got very high calories. So you find that when my patients come, none of them say they eat a lot. Everybody says, I only eat a little. But what do you eat every day? I eat nasi lemak, I eat chendol, and things like that. So you know that it is not so much only their fault. It is also the nature of, being Malaysian, and it is how it is. So how has MCO contributed to this problem even more? People staying at home tend to only do 2 things: watch Netflix, become very good in Squid Games, and eat a lot. So these 2 elements now has boosted this pandemic of not only COVID, but also has increased this pandemic of obesity in Malaysia. And this has to be addressed very seriously, and that is where people like me come in. So we have this title of being the fattest nation in Asia, which is Malaysia. And in fact, 50% of our patients are overweight. So 1 in every 2 is overweight in Malaysia. So I'll just quickly run through a few of our examples of our surgeries, which is intragastric balloon, sleeve, and gastric bypass. And these are a few of our examples of our patients who have dropped tremendously. And most of our patients that come to us now, like what I was discussing with Dr. Ali before, it used to be 70% medical, 30% aesthetic, but now it has converted to 70% aesthetic and 30% medical. As you can see, the first 2 pictures are patients who are well over 100 kilos, who have dropped to well below 80 kilos in a length of 3 to 4 months. And the last picture is so far my heaviest patient at 262 kilos, who has dropped to 170 kilos at 6 months. So these are some very, dramatic results that you can get from bariatric. So let's get into the gist of whether or not social media can actually bring patients and how do you navigate around it. So there are 2 types of practices. I think there is one practice that is the classical practice that is from a generation before us, which is a surgeon or a doctor sitting in an office, and he waits for a practice to build up. And this practice to build up, it depends on a few elements. Number 1, it depends on where he is. So if he provides, he or she, I just used singular he, if he provides the service in an area that doesn't have the service, so he becomes very popular very quickly by word of mouth. Now, word of mouth, to my opinion, is still the strongest marketing tool that a doctor can have. Why? Because if a patient brings a patient, normally that patient translates into a procedure. But if a patient walks into your clinic from another source, that patient may translate into a procedure or may not translate into a procedure. Now, what is the problem with this model now? Well, the problem is if you're a new doctor sitting in an office and you depend on the word of mouth, there are only so many mouths available and there are only so much word that can go out. So if there is another doctor who is sitting maybe 10 kilometers away doing the same thing, you have to generate enough traffic or word of mouth to be able to get some patients that previously were going to him coming to you. So this is something very difficult to do in our situation. So the only option for new doctors, and new I mean over the past 5-10 years, will be they have to revert to some sort of social media based marketing to obtain clients. In my opinion, it is not a fad or a fashion, or it is not something that you, how do I say, you do it because it is cool or something like that. You have to do it in a business perspective. All right. So what type of practices will benefit from social media? Now, offhand, we know very clearly that not all medical practices will benefit from social media. For example, I have a colleague who is very active in social media, and he's a urologist. And a urologist tends to be very active on social media purely for erectile dysfunction. When he puts up material regarding stones, when he puts up material regarding prostate, renal cancers and all, people tend to, not be very interested in hearing what he says. So your content must be social media welcoming. It cannot be just any content. It goes back to shock sendiri. You cannot think that because you have a skill, other people will want to know about it. It is something that you need to put forward in social media that you know that the client will want to listen to. Now, if you are starting off and you want to change your practice into social media, you have to think very carefully about doing it, because if you have done a business model and it has worked for you all this while, and then you want to convert now to social media, it stands a chance of diminishing the business model that has existed before and going into a territory that is new. So you might want to consider. The third thing that I would like to stress is, if you would like to do social media marketing, you must do it in 100% manner. That means you cannot do it in a 10%, 5%. I do it whenever I want on a weekly basis and expect to get results. If you want to translate results in social media into patients, it must be 100% effort. It must be 100% presence on social media. So how has COVID, not improved, I would say changed the social media implications in our business? When patients are unable to come to us for treatment, the only way that we can perform our normal duties is to get information to them via social media or in some way, email marketing, by LinkedIn, by TikTok, by Facebook. We need to put out some information to them that, look here, we still exist and we are still running a business, and you can come to us if you need it. And that has been seen very clearly in our practice, because since the pandemic started, our online consultations has shot up. So before the pandemic, we were doing maybe about 10 online, less than that, maybe about 5 to 6 online consults per month. And now we are doing about 35, 40 online consults per week, which is a tremendous increase in the number. And it has become something that patients are very comfortable with. They find it very easy to go on Zoom, very easy to use WhatsApp video. They find it very easy to understand what we want from them. Now, the implications for us whenever we do an online consult like this is, of course, number one, whether or not that consult is secure. So we have to invest some money into ensuring that, we have a secure server, we have a secure portal to do it. Number two, whether the privacy of that patient is maintained. So we have to keep in track regarding these aspects. But I definitely see that if you do enough social media and you translate that into an online consultation result, you tend to see good outcome from it. So the difference between us and other countries is advertising regulations. As you can see in Korea, even if anyone who's been, if you walk past their train stations, if you walk past any of their big cities, you'll see billboards huge, in Thailand as well, with advertisements regarding services. And I feel this is the way to go. But unfortunately, in Malaysia, we are bound by MMC regulation section 411, which states that for the purpose of obtaining patients, we cannot infringe on several elements. But if you see this regulation carefully, you can see that there are a few important points that you have to look at. Number one, you cannot do any promotion for your own professional advantage. You cannot procure or sanction, or you cannot diminish other doctors' credibilities. So these are I think the crux of this regulation. You can do it, but you cannot do several things. You cannot say you're the best, you're the only one, you're the first. You cannot say those kind of things. But you can navigate around it so that you don't, infringe on the regulations very severely. So now, the other thing that I want to stress here is some people think that being tech savvy is similar to being social media savvy. It is two different elements. Just because you're good in PowerPoint and Excel doesn't translate to the fact that you have some skill in social media. So what I'm trying to say is, if you can't do it yourself, you need to have a budget to hire professionals. And this is the way I think for doctors, we have to come to this term that we don't know everything, and we have to allocate some part of our budget for digital marketing. And I think this has to be done on a consistent, regular basis. So how do you navigate around this MMC problem? How do you navigate around this problem that is related to, not infringing on the regulations? Well, you have to come out as someone who is being more informative. That means you are giving more education and you are giving more information regarding a disease, but you are pointing indirectly in the marketing that you are the one to come to if they have such problems. Now, whatever said and done, you have to translate marketing into patients. So whatever social media is being done, you have to find a way to relate that to a contact to your practice, whether or not it's a professional contact to your website, to a professional contact to your webpage, or to your clinic itself. All right, it has to be that. So what are my 5 tips for social media? Number 1, you have to carefully define your ideal patient and target audience. So mine is very simple, is middle-aged Malay clientele who live around the northern sector of Malaysia, north of KL. So any search engine optimizations, SEOs, any TikTok posts, anything that I do is targeted to this audience. And this has to be done very carefully and thought of very carefully. Number 2, you have to be very regular. People will only know you if you are regular on your social media platform. Number 3, you have to add images. Like I showed you a few of my pictures before I began this presentation of patients. Pictures are very, very impactful. And I feel that in aesthetics, your main sell is basically your before and after. And pictures basically are very, very powerful marketing tools. Number 4 is you have to tell and don't sell. You cannot sell this business. You have to inform patients regarding the pathology, the disease, or the condition, and you cannot sell. I find the more you sell, the more you sound like a salesman, the less patients you get. And the more you tell, the more inquiries you get, and this translates into patients doing procedures. And it is not an element of trust. It is just the subconscious mind of patients seeing doctors as not as salesmen. So you have to work very hard in this element. And finally, my last piece of advice is always track your social media activities. I look at my website once every 2 days, and I make sure that, if there are any changes I can make, I do. And I asked a friend of mine, when's the last time you looked at your website? He said he had one, and he had one and he looked at it 3 years ago. So you have to continuously look at your social media activities, including your website, including your posts, and you have to see and you have to engage your audience so that they will know that you are constantly present and they'll be excited to know you. So spin off from what Inky has said, RTM and Bernama now are on board. However, I still find that most of my clientele is still from social media. Now, I want you to see this very carefully. It's not me showing off my numbers. but it's actually me telling you that I have got a big difference in the various platforms. And the reason that is because I focus only on one platform actually, and that is TikTok. And the other platforms tend to be neglected a bit. So it's very difficult for someone to focus on multiple platforms actually. But if you can focus on one first and the spin-off happens to the others, it's all well and good. Okay. So I think I'm coming to an end. Thank you very much. I'm very sorry for I've exceeded a bit of time. And what do you call it, Inky? I think I hand it back over to you.
All right, Dr. G, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, for those who do not know, right, Dr. G not only has a large following on social media, is a bariatric surgeon, he also has a master's in legal law in Malaysia. So, oh my God, you are super qualified. Okay, so I have one question, right? So you did mention towards your last slide, you have 3 social media, which is the TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. But you mentioned you only focus on TikTok. Majority of us don't actually even have a TikTok account. Why did you focus on TikTok first rather than the more traditional social media like Facebook and Instagram?
Okay, this is a good question. Number one, you have to analyze your market for your patient audience. You have to analyze your competition. This is very important. Many of us don't do this, you know. The first element is you have to define your market. Now, which are the patients more likely to come to you, and where are these patients present? So if you are a urologist, for example, and you are dealing with erectile dysfunction, most of your audience is going to be an elderly based population that is going to be on social media, and that platform is going to be Facebook. If you are a middle-aged person like me, I think I qualify as that, middle-aged, so you would be more skewed to Instagram because it is very nice in terms of, you know, pictures and all that. Now, why didn't I choose Instagram? Because I have a competitor in KL who's very popular on Instagram. Simple. He's got 105,000 followers. And for me to build up from there to come to 105 was a bit difficult. Number 3 is I chose TikTok because I find that attention span of people who look at TikTok are people who want information quickly within that 15-30 seconds framework. And my profession, my service is able to do it. I can deliver the information within that time. So the basic 2 reasons is that basically.
All right, one more question, right?
Sure.
So how do you plan to put up contents on TikTok?
Okay, so I separate it into 2. I separate it into contents that will improve my brand, and number 2 is contents that will improve my business. For me, it's 2 separate elements lah. So contents that will improve my brand is always current hot topics lah. You know, COVID, vaccine. For me, because of bariatric, I'm more into the food industry. My Nescafe 3-in-1 hit something like 15 million views. And then, Milo, food, and then COVID vaccine. People don't know anything, not much about whether they can take COVID and come for Botox, for example. People are very keen to know this kind of information, so those are time things. But then I also create content for my business. For example, I talk about weight loss. I talk about breast cancer. I talk about hernias. I talk about hemorrhoids. I talk about these kind of things so that people who scroll through will realize that, hey, this guy is doing it as well. So how I do it is, for every 10 content that I create, 3 content will be for my business and 7 will be for my brand, because I think brand is now more important than business, especially when you're new.
Wow, those are really, really good tips. All right, for those who have questions for Dr. G, please type in the comment box below or in the message, and then we'll pick up your questions towards the end. Now, Dr. G did mention, if you don't know how to do it, please hand it off to a profession. Now, bring up to stage next, I have Mr. Darren Chan. Mr. Darren is an e-commerce email marketer and a founder of Mail Lender Agency. He has helped his clients generate more than 15 million ringgit in annual revenue, and currently works with a lot of big brands, one of which is the very famous Christine Ng that sells shoes in Malaysia. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, I would like to welcome to stage Mr. Darren.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Inky. I don't know. Sort of correct Dr. G at the start. I'm not a doctor. So I think he said he's happy to have me on board, but I'm not a doctor. And thanks, Dr. Inky, for introducing such a humble introduction. I actually have a background in actuarial science. So, all the mathematics and actuary, they calculate for insurance. But then sort of life brought me here. And then that's how I stumbled upon email marketing right now, today. I think one of the misconceptions everyone has is that email marketing is dead. People, it's the 21st century. People see the TikTok, Instagram, but no one actually looks on their email. I want to sort of clarify that I wouldn't say any platform is superior. Every platform serves its purpose. Like when you buy something from Lazada and Shopee, or you send something from DHL Express, you do go to your email to check the tracking parcel and the number. So you are somehow trained from since young to know how to navigate in your email and your mailbox. Even when you buy your flight tickets, you go to your email. When you sign up for a new account, even on TikTok or Instagram or new business, you still have an email. So email is still quite a relevant, important role. And just to prove the point that it is, for any of you who has a Shopee account as a seller, you realize that in Shopee, they give you the customer's name, address, phone number, but they will probably not allow you to extract their email address because it's very, very valuable. One example is if you have one email address, you use the same email address for all your social media accounts, for all your accounts. So it's actually quite powerful. With email address, they can track down everything you own, from your PayPal down to your social media account. So it is very powerful. I will share my screen. I don't have a pretty slide prepared like Dr. G, so I'll just share the platform. This is just the back end of how it looks like for one of the platform that I use, which is called ActiveCampaign. You have MailChimp, you have Klaviyo, so they have a lot of email providers that you use to send emails out, right, in bulk. So traditionally, you go to Gmail, you send one email, that's fine. But let's say you have 1,000 customers, you can't afford to send one by one. So that's where you use MailChimp or use any other platform that's available online to send bulk emails, right? One cool thing about all the email marketing providers is you can create automations. So automations are pretty cool. Something like this is don't have to know how it looks like, but essentially it's, let's say someone goes to your website or your Instagram or your TikTok, then you have, like, let's say, key in your email address to know more. I'm sure you have seen all those before. And once you key in, immediately they'll get a welcome email. And then wait for 1 day, you can get the next email, wait for 2 days. So you can actually build this automation backend. Right now, for example, I can see one person is queued here, and he's waiting for 5 days to receive his next email. So this is very good and it works for you. You don't have to keep thinking on new content. I literally schedule 1 month's content and then I just leave it there. You just run on automation. So anyone who comes in, like new people who comes in, they're just coming from the top and flows down to the bottom. So email works very well with all the other channels that I think Dr. G has explained and Dr. Elliot explained after this is the traffic. They need to know your brand before they even give you their email address. No one will just give you their email address when they don't know you. They need to know you from either advertisement or word of mouth, or they've been to your website before. And that's how they will probably give you their email at the first basis. And because you're all doctors in this profession, right? You're very different from e-commerce. As Dr. Inky mentioned, I'm very in the e-commerce space. In e-commerce space, it's quite simple to track. For example, this is one example. We sent to 143,000 people, 84 people made a purchase, 30,000 people opened the emails. Everyone, those who purchased made a purchase of average of $162. So this is around $14,000 in email generated. So I send one email, I can get $14,000 in return. Another example is like this one is in ringgit. One email, this is 40%. This is a smaller one. I sent to 2,000 people, 800 open, 41 minute purchase, an average order of 68 ringgit. So this is e-commerce, right? Very straightforward. You send an email, they buy. But as Dr. G said, you can't really, in all these emails, right, we don't really sell. You can see even the subject line is not selling. We don't say, hey, here's 10% off. We actually educate them. Teach them how to use the product. Teach them why we do what we do, the benefits that they will get. So one example I can give is, for example, we have this natural deodorant brand that we run for. We don't say, buy our deodorant because it's natural, because it's aluminum free. Because to be honest, all the competitors out there have these same features anyways. So how do you position it? Is you want to position as how they can use your product for their own benefit. So we position as Malaysia's hot weather. When you walk through your friends or you go out, you have insecurities, especially females when they wear a singlet. They are sensitive that their body odor will get around their partner. So these are deeper desires that you want to tackle, and then show them how your product can offer them. In the doctors, I'm not sure about too much about the space, but I would assume, let's say you're doing like Dr. G, I don't think he will sell, he used the best devices in Malaysia, or top-notch stuff, or the best assistant. He'll probably position as the benefits that you can get, look prettier, walk with elegance, go out with confidence, all these kind of benefits that they will experience once they use your service. And email, I will show you one example right now, how quick it is. Right now, I know this brand has a pop-up, and I have my email here. It's just new, refreshed. So email is when you set the automation up, it runs in real time. It's very quick. So let's see, I just enter my email address right here, claim my code for 20%. All right. And what I'll do, I just wait maybe a few seconds. It should come through. Not now. Still loading. Or if it doesn't load, okay, there you go, in the promotions tab. Not this one here. So immediately I can get the email that's related to the 20%. So for your business, it could be, get a free consultation call, or could be get, top 5 tips to look young today, or to, if you're running, let's say, a hair loss business, you can go top 5 tips, or top 5 foods to eat to prevent hair loss or to grow a hair back. So these are like what I call lead gen. You just want to get their email address in exchange for value. So you give them a free stuff, a free consultation, or a free ebook. You get an email address, and what happens is that they will then be part of your automation cycle, and then you can slowly nurture them over time. They may not know you right now, or they may not trust you yet, but over time, when you give them a lot of information that's helpful for them, they'll eventually want to work with you, or want to call you up and to book an appointment, because you are solving their problem, their pain point. And they are in the market right now scouting for the best surgeon, best person to help them. So they're in a buying mindset. They're just not sure who to approach. So you want to position as, you are someone trustworthy and giving them a lot of value. So I think that's probably all I have to deliver today. I'll wait for the audience to give me more specific Q&A, then I can answer, because I'm very e-commerce specific. I don't think it's very relatable. So I just want to let you know what email marketing can do, and how it, the automation part is quite cool, and then how you can deliver the message out.
Right, thank you, Darren. Yeah. Right, Darren, I have a quick question for you. All right. Yeah. Email marketing has been around for a long time, because email has been one of the first few forms of digital communication, even before instant messages came out, even before social media came out. And there have been a lot of people who have been around for a long time. They have tested, they have tried email marketing, and it didn't work. What are the top reasons why would someone fail in delivering in email marketing?
I would say, I think at the top of my head, I can think of 2 things. Number one is they buy their email list. So a lot of people actually buy email lists from other people. Hey, let's swap email lists. I queue mine, give me yours. So then they grow from 1,000 to 10,000. That's very quick. But the problem comes very quickly. No one, like when they send an email out, no one buys, no one knows them, because they don't know that there's no trust. There's no relationship. It's like buying fake followers online, for example, on Instagram or Facebook. You're buying fake followers. You have huge following, but there's no value there. No, they're not real. I wouldn't say not real people, but they have no intention of buying from you. So you're wasting a lot of effort. That's number one. Number two is that people don't actively get new emails, or I would say new customers, or customers were not the right word, but new emails or new leads. And at the same time, they don't trim off their leads. So they keep their email list. They want to keep growing. They like, I want to keep you. I don't want them to unsubscribe. But actually, unsubscribing is actually a good thing. You let them go, because if they are interested later on, they will come back. So it's like a cycle. They will come and go, come and go. You can't expect your customer to stay with you forever, right? They may go jump around with other consultants, other doctors. But if you are good, they will eventually come back later on in life. So that's number two, which is always segment your list. If they are not the one that listens to your information, or they're not interested in you, no point sending to them at all. No point convincing them. It's best to just let them unsubscribe. When they are ready, they will come back.
Okay, my next question is this. Now, majority of the email apps that we have now have a junk or spam folder where most of these email marketing emails go to. How do I prevent, if let's say I want to do email marketing and I get and I contract a third party, how do I prevent my emails, the one that I blast out, from getting into those spam folders?
Yeah, so there's inbox, promotional, and spam, right? It's three things. And the Google algorithm always updates. If you use Gmail, Google update it. If you use Hotmail, Outlook, other Microsoft will update it. There's no way to know what the algorithm has or what they do to improve. But you need to help them help you. And then this is what I mean is that their job as an email provider is make sure their users don't get scammed. Right? Imagine if you have one Gmail account and you get scammed twice from someone. You would definitely stop using Gmail. You go to Hotmail, right? You go to Yahoo. You jump. So it's their best interest to not make you jump. They want to keep you as long as possible using Gmail or using Hotmail. So how do you prevent that? Is you need to create a relationship with them. The amount of open rates. So every time they open, if you can, you guys can test it out. Let's say you open the same this person's email for 3 times, 4 times. The next time they come in, they will automatically be tagged as an important, the yellow thing in the inbox. So they actually be tagged that, and then next time they send you email, you go to your inbox. So it's about a relationship. In the promotion tab, most e-commerce email would go to the promotion tab unless you open the email a lot. But that's fine, because if you look at, if you have daughters or sons or your kids or nephews, look at their behavior. One day just sit beside them and look at them when they scroll through email. When they want to shop, right? Especially girls, they take a credit card out, they put it here. They want to buy something, right? They don't know what to buy. They want to buy something. So they go to the promotion tab and they scroll. I kid you not, they'll scroll. They'll just look at 20% off, so white, click, and they go and buy. So it's not exactly a bad thing. It's just it's promotion tab means the customers are having a frame of mind that I'm ready to buy. I'm not sure who to buy from. I'm ready to buy. Okay. And the third one is spam. Spam is very bad. You don't want to be in spam. Spam doesn't mean it is the end of the world. It means that the words that you use is quite spammy. Like people who scam money will probably use those words like free gift, you have won something. So those words will trigger something. A good way to substitute it is to say congratulations. You are don't use lucky winner, all these kind of scammy words. Try to speak as if you're talking to a friend. Hey, you won this, do you know that? Something like that, like very casual, and put some typos in. It helps you the algorithm, because it's like, friends, they always use short form, right? Like can I or you, they don't put YOU, they just put you. All these short form actually helps beat the algorithm. As unconventional as it sounds, it's not very good for branding, because like, this guy's lazy, why is he typing like that? But it actually beats our algorithm to go to the inbox, because it sounds like a friend chatting to you. So I think that's a few answer I can give. Yeah.
If I could ask Darren, what would be like the top 3 medical spam words that would have triggered to go into the spam folder?
Oh my god, medical! I've actually yet to see. Because all the e-commerce in the business, we sign up to a lot of email business, all the e-commerce businesses, to see how they run it, what words they use. I've yet to met one that's in the medical space today. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's related to the law, or does nobody have interest using email in the medical space, because I would assume medical is very like you need to have high trust and no high PR. No one's gonna pay you 10,000 to do their face if they don't know you at all. They probably want to know you in person, like speak to you. So I think that's why. But if I were to guess, right, I got no idea, man. I don't even know the
Promo lah.
medical terms.
Well, I reckon they'll be selling anyway. So it'll be things
Yeah,
like
I reckon it'll be like
promotional,
promotion, buy one, free
buy
one.
one, free one. Yeah.
So Darren, I want to ask you. Usually, if I put in my email, promotion today or buy one free one today, usually it goes into the promotion folder, is it?
I would think, yeah, unless they've already clicked on your email 3 or 4 times before, so they already have a relationship. It's very personal. You can send to me and comes to my inbox, but you can send to Dr. Ali and it goes to his promotion tab because he doesn't open your email a lot. So it's quite personal depending on their inbox email relationship.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the next up, we have a very good looking speaker. All right. So a lot of people say that he looks like my twin brother, but I think he's my brother for another mother. All right, guys. I would like to introduce you to Dr. Elias Stephen Na. He has a passion in hair transplantation for more than 10 years, and he has helped more than 3,000 patients with their hair loss problem. But something interesting is his topic today. His topic is, why does your LinkedIn profile suck? Right. Welcome to stage,
Yes, it is.
Ali.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thanks, Ingi. Yep. So, hi everyone. Thanks for actually staying all the way until 8:45 before it's my turn. I'm always really good at doing the last speaker bit. So I'm gonna start with this question: why does your LinkedIn profile suck? It's a very catchy, but mainly because a lot of this whole social media thing, you always start with the common ones. You always have your Facebook, right? Then you've got your Instagram. Then you start going to your TikTok. Then you like try to find out what else am I missing out. Then you're like, oh, okay, FOMO, fear of missing out. Let's do a LinkedIn also lah. So you start a LinkedIn profile, and then after you put in a LinkedIn profile, right, then you realize, I don't know what to write because it's like trying to write your resume all over again lah. Okay, so out of no disrespect to anyone out there, I'm just going to plug. I just plucked a couple of random ones. When I typed doctor, whoever came out in the top few became some victims for tonight. So I'm just going to share some screen and we're going to discuss just a little bit. Right. So that's me. Forget about me. Wait, how do I remove this tab? All right. Okay. So no disrespect. But you see, right, when you start a LinkedIn profile, right, and you do things such as this, you start this and then you leave this thing blank. People already know this profile is, it's a waste of time. Okay. Yeah. You put in a couple of your resume and that's it. And it's not one. You get multiple doctors who do basically the same thing. And this is called your first impression. The moment you have your first impression off already, right? Nobody really wants to look at you anymore. Versus if you go in and you do something that's really attractive. When you go in and bam with attraction, people at least, okay lah, put in some effort. Let's see what else you want to start writing. And then once you have certain topics here and there, they might just want to get into you all over again. Okay, I'll stop first. But before you even want to go into that, ask yourself, as what Dr. Gaffo said, and I really agree what he says, you need to know who your customers are. You need to know what is the purpose of the social media platform that you choose, whether you're going to go email, you're going to go Instagram, you want to go TikTok, Facebook, or for myself, LinkedIn. I'll tell you from the perspective of LinkedIn, why you might want to consider having it, but also why maybe you don't want to waste your time doing it at all. Okay, so LinkedIn at the end of the day is one of the oldest platforms around. It's actually even older than Facebook. It predates Facebook by 2 years. However, it's been so old-fashioned that nobody really cares about it because it's like for old people, for old people, for all the top CEOs and everything. But here lies the best part. It's where CEOs are hanging out. As of today, they have 700 million people subscribed, and it's not just the young people. You get mainly people who have a slightly more professional stature. Okay, and in the medical field, that's probably where you want to also be seen, whereby people who are making decisions, people who are making decisions in life, advancing their career, or they are employers looking for employees. Again, these are people who are going to be able to make big decisions, informed decisions, learned decisions. It's not just about looking at what you posted for breakfast, lunch, dinner, your favorite motivational quote of the day. No, these are people who are actually seeking information out of you. So being in LinkedIn gives you that advantage of you're going to have a different segment of people all inside. However, For you to want to start optimizing it, you need to know what are the things that you want to do. You also want to know what are the added advantage into it. Okay, so let me just go into sharing the screen again. Hold on. So this would have been my kind of topic once upon a time. Okay, so and that's just barely shy of a year ago. That's about 11 months ago. And I will create topics whereby only about 500 people are going to be viewing you. You know, it's quite demotivating when you get 500 people viewing you. Basically, it's like a 1-for-1. I got 500 followers and about 500 people view me. 600 followers, 500 people view me. 700 followers, about 500 people view me. And these are people not even engaging you yet. And if you look at the engagement, some likes, some comments, and that's about it. Okay, and if we fast forward later, now what I've been doing is I start sharing different form of content. As what Dr. Gafu says, don't try to be an expert. Although the people in LinkedIn are still learned people, you still have to remember they are still people. They're not medical people. The problem with a lot of us, doctor, is when we start talking, we like to talk in jargons. We cannot say, if we can, we don't even want to say the word cancer. We want to use the word neoplasm. You know, we want to describe it, you know, as medically detailed as possible. We cannot just say one lump. We can't say a boil. We can't say panau. We need to go in and start using very medical terms. But in actual fact, people don't really care. People just want to know, as basic as possible, what is it all about? And again, people in there are looking for just simple things that relate to their life. Your target is to actually translate what you want to say or what you want to be seen as a subject matter expert without selling. Okay, so things like this: the smoking causes hair loss, or let's say, what I always like to do is like to run polls. The smoking causes hair loss. You just trigger people, and it's fun because when you're in LinkedIn, right, you're triggering the thoughts of people who are, again, your crowd, people who are going to be paying you as a medical profession. And if you can trigger 12,700 views, of course, I'm not the million viewer first. My followers in LinkedIn is laughable, and it's only about 1,800. But I'm translating almost 10 times of my viewership, and that's active. Again, when you do that, right, you are now gaining traction in terms of wanting to be seen as a subject matter expert. And later on, you may translate that into personal branding. The one of the biggest pitfall about thinking LinkedIn is going to generate sales. No, LinkedIn does not generate sales for doctors. I'll be very honest. It's very hard to generate sales in this platform. You want platform, you have to go to people who are ready buyers or things that people want to buy. For example, like in Dr. Gafo's case, talking about weight loss, talking about losing from 200 kilos to 150 kilos in 6 months. Oh, fantastic. I also want to think about that. But if you're talking about pure medical and you're not selling, you're trying to tell, then you must think of it as this is an investment, not into selling. Don't think of sales as the short-term gain. It might be a long-term gain, but it's not your short-term gain. Your short-term gain is that you are providing information, and you provide information at a level where people can understand. And the kind of context that you need to put is, if a 10-year-old read your article, a 10-year-old read your post, someone who was in primary school read your post, they must understand. If the moment they require to use their brains, that's when it doesn't work. I give, for example, when you look at how a lot of cosmetic tycoons get fantastic sale, yet their content is, borderline just idiotic, all right? But it's idiotic sales, because sales is all about how people want to connect with you. As long as they connect, they understand for themselves what is going to happen, they're going to buy. They're going to get sold. Same thing. If you want information to translate in, make it 10-year-old understandable. Don't worry. The fellow who has a PhD, a master's, or owns or is the CEO of 10 companies or IPO 5 different companies will not look down upon you. He will still text you. He will still say hi to you, and he'll still thank you for actually giving information that otherwise he would have found it to be too difficult to digest. If you open even like The Star, that's our Sunday segment, when they talk about any medical condition, it gets quite technical also. it's getting better, but it's still quite technical. You have to try and translate it down to the most lowest denominator. And that is where the value of LinkedIn lies. The other segment of where LinkedIn can actually help you, I'm going to share one last time, is when you start doing it and people go into your profile, basically they just want to know who you are. And when they want to know who you are, it's like looking through your whole resume. For you yourself, you are having the most updated resume. If you keep it updated, you literally have your own resume. You put in whatever you want to put inside, or your qualification. Then it comes into recommendations. This is basically, if you thought Google was going to be good recommendations, LinkedIn is another one. When people looked at it, people say, okay, this one definitely very hard to buy. Or no one pays to get LinkedIn recommendations. There's no segment in it. And when they write, they're going to write like really, really long stuff. They don't write like, give you 5 stars and forget about you. So it's all there and it's very useful. One more area that a lot of people fail to realize is that when you do a LinkedIn profile and you update a lot of it, the more you update, right? When someone types your name, you are auto SEO'd without you even paying a single cent. When I type my name, it comes even before my own website, which I pay for SEO. This thing comes out and it's free. It's done it for me, Then only comes my website, then comes all the other platforms that comes in. I mean, I didn't pay for it, and it's all the way up there. Then we get, Dr. Lim, Dr. Inky, not bad. Getting a bit more active these days. He tried to comment on my stuff. So see, they bunk him up to the second spot. If they didn't bunk him right last week, he was like number 5 or number 6. It will be slightly lower down there. Then we get Dr. Gafoor. Again, no problem, because he's more active in other areas, but his LinkedIn top 5, still pretty good. Why not? For me, it's like, if you are able to leverage on something that adds value to you and yet pushes you up, because people eventually are going to search your name. And if they search your name and you are up there right ahead, and when they click on your profile, you've got something that you can talk about, share about with information, it guides you into your profile. It guides you into them thinking, if it's about this topic, he's the man that I want to go. If it's about bariatric up north, that's the doctor I want to go to. If it's hair, that's the doctor I want to go to. So make full use if you intend to use LinkedIn. However, again, don't go into FOMO mode. Don't go into the fear of missing out that just because Ellie's got it, Inky's got it, Dr. Gafoor's got it, I also want to have one. Because as Dr. Gafoor said, once you're in, you need to commit. I commit to at least posting 2 to 3 articles a week on LinkedIn. And it does take a bit of time. It takes about an hour for me 1 to 2 hours to draft and put something out. And sometimes when it gets more complex, it may take up even about 4 to 5 hours in total. Small bits here, small bits there, but in total, it's still going to take up some time just to pull some valid topics out for people. And lastly, if you're going to go into that also, you may reach out to me later and I'll guide you how you want to have small communities in LinkedIn. LinkedIn works because the way is very interesting. Like for me, I post something only my direct friends will see. But if Inky is now my friend, and when I post and Inky comments on it, all of Inky's friends is going to see what he posted or what he commented on my site. All right. And then it just so happens Dr. Gafoor saw what Inky commented and it was my content and he commented on it. Hey, nice article. Huh? Now, all of my articles are going to Inky's sphere. And now, because Dr. Gafoor has commented also, or he just liked it, it's going to be pushed out into all of his sphere also. It's fantastic. Very professionally done. So it's one of the best platform that is quite organized because they're here to help professionals. But you have to make full use of it. So I think with that, I'm going to be closing up today. I'm open to take any kind of questions.
All right, guys, if you guys have any questions to ask Dr. G, Dr. Ali, or Darren, please type in the chat box below. Ali, just quick question to ask you. Yeah. So we understand like platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, video does very well. On LinkedIn, does a regular post do much better than the video or a poll, or does video do much better than the others?
Right, a very interesting question, because in LinkedIn, they've got a totally separate algorithm altogether. So LinkedIn has the ability to do many things. They have the ability for you to do a standard word post, picture post, polls, video, and events. Okay. So the one that is the worst is anything that brings the viewers out of LinkedIn. So if you put video on YouTube and you put it into you put the link inside, although it's embedded, you can view, but LinkedIn's not going to push it out. If you put your video and upload into LinkedIn, it helps you a bit more. But generally, they still somehow don't really favor that much, unless you yourself have a huge following. But if you are growing, don't waste time with videos on that. If you're like me, 1,000 over only, don't bother with the videos. The views will only come up to about 200, 300, very demotivating. But if you're like Gary V, you've got 5 million people watching you, you post a video, he'll probably get 1 million views, which is actually less for, one-on-one, 5 million followers, but only 1 million views. You still actually get less, but it's still 1 million. So videos on LinkedIn is fantastic if you want to go into propagation when you have a lot of followers. But if not, don't bother. Go into the other platforms which are video-based. LinkedIn is still very much word-based, document-based. They want you to write articles. They want you to do PDFs. They want you to type words. It works way much better. So their algorithm is PDF, words, then only followed by that and polls, then only followed by pictures, static pictures, then only followed by videos. There's a trick. If you want to make your pictures more attractive, you put it into a PDF. That will become a slider. Because they sort of like own so it's very interesting. You can beat a little bit of that by switching into a PDF. Then people can scroll rather than you put 5 photos and they're just going to simply tag it along, and they cannot handle the algorithm. At the end of the day, their organization is not as big as Facebook. They're actually quite lazy one. You send an email, they won't reply you. It's all automated reply. You only get a reply like a week later from a human. So everything is automation. So they go by PDF, words, polls, then only photos. Videos are the worst. If you put a link into Facebook, also forget it. So if you want to put links into your post, put it into your comments. Don't put it into your post. You put it in the post, it crashes your view count. You put it into comments. So let's say, I've got this event coming up Friday night. Okay. Link is below. Then you put it into the comments. It won't disturb your algorithm.
All right, interesting. So every different social media platform and even marketing have different algorithms. And the one thing that I discovered a little bit different is for TikTok and for LinkedIn, they will still push out your content even though it's weeks old. Whereas compared to Facebook or Instagram, if it's just a couple hours old, it's all the way down in your feed already. All right, so we have a question from the floor. This is a question from Dr. Chin to Dr. G. Dr. G, how and where did you learn to be so social media savvy?
No, I don't think I'm very savvy yet. A lot to learn, but I think circumstances pushed me to do it. Number one, I joined the private sector when the pandemic started. So I think I had to think of ideas outside the norms. And number two as well, Penang, as you know, is a very competitive market, especially for surgeons. So I had to think of something that will give me a bit of advantage. But I think all of us can do it. It's not something impossible. It just requires us to allocate some time and some resources. And I think definitely anyone can do better than me.
All right, a quick question to my 3 panelists here. If I would want to learn about your craft, whether it's TikTok, LinkedIn, or even email marketing, where is the one place I should go and read or go and watch something? You go,
well, if it's for all right. Well, so if it's for LinkedIn, is there are general rules. General rules you can actually just type into Google how to make my LinkedIn. First, you start with how to make my LinkedIn profile more visible. Right? It's very important because there are many tools inside which we neglect. For example, when you just create a profile, you can actually own the URL. So it's linkedin.com/ for myself will be my name, Dr. Ali. Right? I own that. It's like giving you a URL, but if you don't claim that, it's gone. Then you end up as user something. So don't do that. Number one, claim that. have all the panels, have all your visibility. So you start by doing how to make my profile more visible. Then you go with what are the do's and don'ts. So once you get that optimized, then you go more specific into, let's say you find a profile of a person that you like, right? You just message them, be friends. If there's 10, you message all 10. Eventually, 2 or 3, right? They will actually want to help you. You'll find that LinkedIn community are actually very nice people. Very nice people. You ask them, hey, can I get your opinion? Can I ask for your help? How to get this done? How to get that done? They will help you. Worst case scenario, there are small, tiny classes, even on LinkedIn, you can find, whereby they conduct small workshops, an hour-long workshop, and they will give you really good tips. Each time when I attend, I pick up 1 or 2 free tips. I almost never pay for it, but you've also got the paid ones that you can attend. So start with the simple ones first, then only you move and start with all the free ones before you move into, let's say, a paid workshop for boosting your LinkedIn profile.
Mr. Darren, if I would like to start email marketing, right? And there are so many different platforms, there's MailChimp, Klaviyo, and so many others. Which should I start for my business?
I think same as what Dr. Ali said, you can first Google the basics, the lot of free resources out there. You'll compare with all the platforms. But if you read enough, everything will cancel out. All the advices will actually cancel out with each other. The pros and cons sort of. End of the day, you still don't know what to do. But I would suggest just pick one and go. Not to think so much. Start with the free ones. MailChimp gives 2,000 free email lists. If you're not into e-commerce, that's fine. Just start it off. But once you get over 2,000, you might want to move to ActiveCampaign, which is what I'm using right now. To start off with that. For Klaviyo, it's very expensive. Unless you run an e-commerce store, there's no point paying like 1,000 over USD a month for it. It's not cheap. But in short, I would say ActiveCampaign. And ActiveCampaign has good resource online. They don't have a lot of free resource like how to run ads. YouTube, we have like a lot of people teaching you how to run Facebook ads or TikTok ads and everything. Email is a bit of I think not a lot of people speaks about it. But if you YouTube the exact how to use ActiveCampaign, and then I think there's this guy called Max. This one I follow as well, and he normally there are few people top of their tier in that particular email provider like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or Klaviyo. They can just stalk them. They normally have like tons of free stuff. Just sign up to your email list and see how they do things. Now, what I normally do is I sign up and then I see the days they send and I just copy them. Take some time, but that's the best way to learn for email, because not everyone will. I still yet struggle to find resources that will actually teach you step by step in 1 hour workshop, for example. Not everyone does. I'm not too sure why as well. Maybe I should do that. But the easiest one I find is just to have I call this a learning email. So an email that I use, and I just subscribe everything. And then I can over the weekend, I will just sort and I see when do they send, what do they send, and literally paraphrase everything, work backwards. Yeah, that's for email.
All right. So Dr. Ali mentioned that when he does his LinkedIn, right, he posts 2 to 3 times a week. Dr. G, when you're doing your TikTok, how many times do you post a week?
That's a good question, basically, I try to keep something every day. So what I do is I do a recording every Monday and Friday. Monday when I start the week, because the weekend you get some ideas, so you write it down, and usually you have some friends that you have blocked them on your WhatsApp, so you can key in your ideas on that blocked WhatsApp. And then you can remember, because,
That's what block WhatsApp is for.
Yeah, that's why I use it for sometimes. So you can just key in the ideas in that WhatsApp that is blocked. Then you can think about it on Monday. And then as the week progresses, I will get some patients, and then I will ask them whether we can do some content together. And then I will do something with patients on Friday. So I think try to have a content on the working days, maybe one content every day to come up, but you can prepare them beforehand. So you don't have to do them every day and interfere with your work, and just schedule the uploads so that you don't have to worry about it. And I tell you the truth, the content that I think will be viral will never be viral. And the contents that I never expect to be viral will always be viral. So that is the the reality of it.
All right. So there's another one in the chat box. Dr. Inky, you're an expert in YouTube. Do you encourage doctors start YouTube? Well, first of all, I'm not an expert in YouTube. However, I do encourage everyone to start YouTube. Now, again, YouTube is one of the earliest social media platform, even though it's mainly video, is one of the earliest one. I think it definitely predates TikTok, right? So, however, one of the things about YouTube is this: it's very difficult to crack it. It's very difficult to get into it and really grow. But once you're in it and you understand how the algorithm works and you understand what kind of videos people want, and then you can grow quite massive. And one of the upside of having a YouTube channel is you get to plan your content a little bit longer. And especially for someone that likes to talk, you want to talk for 8 to 10 minutes, YouTube is a very good platform. TikTok gives you like 30 seconds, and LinkedIn, as Dr. Ellie mentioned, most of the time you just you type posts. So if you really like to talk, you really have a face and a video, a face and a voice for video, I think it's good. However, one of the issue with YouTube is this: you need a team. It's not like TikTok, it's not like LinkedIn. You can't do it alone. You need a video editor, or if you're good at video editing, please do it. And you need to post consistently 1 to 2 videos per week. And let me share with you what we understand about YouTube algorithm. There are basically 4 things that you need, right, in order for your videos to do well. Of course, number 1 is content. Content is key, right? Content is key, and a good content, right, will get people watching for long term. So YouTube will track what is your retention rate. And I'm sure even on TikTok also, you can see retention rates. The longer they stay for your video, the more viral it will become. So the YouTube will push it to the recommended page. Secondly, it must be filmed in high definition, not handphone quality, DSLR camera quality. So third of all, it must be edited professionally. You cannot have those simple transitions like you're using those simple apps to do. No simple transitions. It must be nicely cut. And fourth of all, of course, it cannot be too short. It must be between 8 to 15 minutes. Actually, the longer the better, because the longer the videos are, the more advertisements they can cram into your videos, the more they can sell your videos. So if you can crack the code for YouTube, you'll be one of the only doctors on YouTube. There are not many doctors on YouTube, because a lot of doctors have tried. They barely scratch 1,000 subscribers, and then they just stop, because it's very time consuming. But if you can crack, you'll be one of the only few doctors there, and the world is your oyster.
So just a bit of background for everyone here. So Dr. Inky was doing a lot of Instagram. Then he got bored of Instagram because got too many doctors. Then he went to TikTok. Then he realized Dr. Garfu was doing better than him. Then he ran off to YouTube because he said none of you wants to do it, and I get a whole team to do it for me. Yeah, but I think it's important to know there is no perfect segment. Yeah. You still need to fall back to where you best think, as Dr. Garfu said, and I think it's very important. The most important area is where your customers are going to be. If you don't know where they are, you can't go to get it. For example, if you like to eat salmon fish, you don't go to a pond because there's no salmon there. You don't go to certain parts of the sea and hope to get it. You are not going to get it. You have to go very specific areas whereby that's where the salmon is going to be. So same thing. There are patients everywhere. There are customers everywhere, but you just have to know where are they more or less going to be, gathering most of the time, watching most of the time, and that's where you want to target. Darren, I've got one for you. Between self and third party or getting it managed for email marketing, at which point, right, should a person finally say, I give up and I should actually consider a person to manage? And what would be, let's say, an appropriate entry level budget that they should set in mind, whereby they can get some amount of results seen? I'm not saying returns, just results first.
Email, in my opinion, you definitely need a copywriter in-house. But because I think for the doctor space, you probably have a graphic designer, a videographer because you shoot content for your own YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, right? So then you can convert them. But you rarely have a copywriter in-house because honestly they don't do much. So that's why you have to write everything yourself at the start. And the downside of that is, like Dr. G said, the jargons, and Dr. Ali, you mentioned the jargons that you doctors use, which I honestly do not understand. So I can't relate. That's why a copywriter have their upside as well, because they don't understand enough to use the jargon, but enough understand to understand your customer to write that. That said, right, I would think because email marketing right now is quite omni-channel, right? Like you say, LinkedIn is not gonna close you any sale. TikTok is not gonna close you any sale. You're just gonna bring the leads in. You eventually will close the sale yourself. The confidence, and they meet you in person, they feel comfortable. And same as email. So I'm not sure how to measure the returns, but it's I would say it's a leap. You take and you do it for, let's say, 6 months, 3 months. If there's results, then you can sort of know it's working. Of course, you can track the clicks, the open rates, and all the matrix. But eventually, I think you need to justify yourself that it's worth venturing into that. And you probably need to understand your customer as well. When they come in, maybe ask them, hey, do you read this email and do you engage a lot, just to get like real feedback. Quite different from e-commerce, because I can stalk you. E-commerce is quite creepy actually. I can actually see how long you spend on my website, which product you viewed, how long have you been on that page. So that detail, that's why we can know it works. But for in the doctor space, they don't buy on the spot. They actually go perform the service and they pay, you invoice them, they pay in the spot. So I can't really stalk them, how they think. Have they made a decision because they read the third email, or a lot of factors in play. So I have no straight answer for that. But if I were to take a guess, if you're tired of writing, like keep writing, pushing out content, then it's probably best to just get one person in. I would say 1,000 to 2,000 ringgit a month is sufficient to get someone right, and then get them to send it out as well, to just release the headache of thinking so many things.
All right, thanks, Darren. All right, so we have another question in the comments. All right, it's by Dr. Nigel. Any good apps or course to learn video editing? I want to ask Dr. G, what apps do you use to edit your TikTok videos?
Actually, to tell you the truth, I in the beginning I went for a few online courses. Supposed to be a week. I lasted a day lah. I said, forget it lah. I said, screw this. I said, I'm not going to invest. I didn't do, 5 years of medical school and 4 years of surgery and another 3 years of fellowship to learn how to edit videos. So I basically worked with the in-app edition, and after that I grew a bit, beyond my capabilities. So like what Darren said, I hired someone to basically do my video editing for me. So I think she gets Canva. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so I'm going to recommend a couple of apps if you want to do it by yourself. Simple. InShot, CapCut, and Canva. These three.
That's the one.
These three are very good, simple apps for you to use if you're editing on your phone. But as Dr. G mentioned, video editing is not a simple thing. It's not something you can learn in a week. It is what people learn in diploma or in degree programs, 3 to 4 years. So my suggestion is go out and hire a video editor. You'd be surprised. Video editors are not expensive. They're not expensive, especially during the pandemic, whereby a lot of media companies are cutting costs. They actually let go a lot of their video editors. There's actually a lot of video editors in the market now, and they're not asking for many salaries. And in my company, because I do a lot of production, we have 6 video editors with us full-time. And you'd be surprised, they generate more than what they're worth. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I just want to resonate back. It falls under which direction you're going into. And if video is the direction that you're going into, whereby it's very high visibility, eventually getting someone to do it for you is the way to go. I think TikTok is easy to begin with because there's a lot of in-app editor that you can already use, although it's quite tedious because you do bit by bit, cut, you cut here, there. getting one good video, especially if you're doing all the special effects, the ones that we love to watch are actually very heavily edited. They take anywhere between 3 to 6 hours just to generate a 30-second clip for us to watch and have 1 million views. But if it's going to be medical based, it's a bit more straightforward. There's a lot of words, so you can use that. If you want to use things like even iMovies, it's actually quite good. It's already free. However, the moment you want to start editing and put in subtitles, or that's where the pain comes in. Subtitles are probably the most difficult thing for you to do on a video. But if you're pushing it into YouTube, I believe subtitles would be a very big boon. It gives you additional points in your algorithm.
Oh yeah, definitely. Subtitles actually give you the SEO rankings. So when you type into Google for something you're looking for, and you have subtitling in your YouTube videos, you will appear on Google as well. Just like you, free LinkedIn SEO.
Yeah.
YouTube does it as well.
Yeah. So basically, it's like saying, if Dr. Inky is saying, all right, 5 good tips for getting better skin. Number 1, vitamin C. Number 2, vitamin D. All right. If you do the video, right, it doesn't capture the words. But if you type it out into the subtitles, and there's a subtitle file for it, YouTube will actually pump those words, literal words, word for word into search engine. So when someone actually types 5 good tips for skin, it will come out vitamin C and this, and it will be linked to you. So again, it's an SEO lah.
All right. Okay. All right, guys. All right. I think we have dragged this long enough already. We've been here for an hour. All right. So to wrap it up. All right. To wrap it up, Ellie, what are the top 3 things you've learned today? All right. I'll start with myself first. The first thing that I've learned from Dr. G is don't be afraid to try new platforms. You'd be surprised how little little doctors there are on TikTok. And also what Dr. G shared with us is really good. Know where your segmentation is. Know who you're talking to, and then choose the right platform. What I've learned from Darren is email marketing is not dead. It's very much alive, and he has a lot of major clients to actually show for. And Ellie, you brought home a very good point. As doctors, we need to drop the jargons in order to communicate with people.
Right, on my side, number 1, I learned from Dr. Gaffo is that if you want to go into social media, you have to commit. It's not do one time and hope that the results come in. You do not grow from 0 to 1 million views with just one. You might do it once, but you might not be able to repeat it. So once you do it, you have to start committing. Through Darren, I think very important. If you want to start doing your own, try to attempt your own email marketing, copywriter. You have to invest one or the other. Because if you do it yourself, it's going to come out quite sucky one. I've seen so many medical ones whereby I just throw into the junk or I unsubscribe because it's just so boring. Because again, we medical people make it so medical term. We even use the colors. We must put a stethoscope somewhere. It's so damn boring. So get a good copywriter. Agree with what they want to tell you first. Because we as doctor always say, no, you must have this stethoscope, must have a sick fella, then only people want to watch. I think a copywriter might know slightly better more than us. And then through Inky, what I've learned is that for YouTube, it's a space to grow, especially if you love video so much, and 30 seconds, 60 seconds really not enough for you.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us. I would like to thank all 3 of my panelists, Dr. G, Darren, and Dr. Ellie for joining us today. Guys, don't forget, every 2 weeks, all right, AmSam with ADAC has a bi-monthly meeting or a webinar on aesthetics. Today is a little bit different because we're doing a business development, all right? So please check your WhatsApp. Well, we'll be blasting out WhatsApp for new webinars on a weekly basis. And until then, I'd like to wish everyone a good night and have a good weekend ahead.